What up, everybody? Josh with JDM Racing. Look at this bad mofo right here. 5.0. Boost it. Thing is sick. That's so clean. Thing's fat. Then we got a little V6 right here, huh? Yeah, new body style's garbage. Look at what this plate says on this Porsche. 01 rough. Dope ass turbo Porsche right here. Clean. Has little vents in the bumper like the 359 kit car does. Falling in love with that dual exhaust right now. You can hear this thing. Thing's dope. Just wanted to throw a clip of it, man. It's sick as hell. What's up, everybody? Josh with JDM Racing. So today we're going to be doing injectors and a base map on the Civic. The injectors I'm going to be running are RDX 410cc injectors. Depending on the amount of pressure you run, you can get more out of them than that. And then the base map I got is from HA Motorsports. Pretty much you just go online, you type in your specs and what your motor has, you know, is it NA, is it turbo, is it supercharged, what injector size, different RPM ranges, VTEC engagement, just all kinds of little stuff, and that's what I did. And then there's also a comment box, which I put a lot more information just so they could get it as accurate as possible. Now it is temporarily. You still want to get the car tuned, get it thrown on a dyno, get it done right. You're not supposed to be driving daily on this. But if I get it in and it works, I'm probably going to rip it pretty hard and just see what it does. Shit, screw it. But I did already have the RDX injectors in once, and I took them out because the car did not run, and that's the point of the base map. And I put the stock ones in because I wanted to be able to move the car. It sat for a while, had spider webs all over it, and I just needed to wash it. So I put the stock ones back in. There's a couple things you're going to run into running the RDX injectors. First of all, the fuel rail is going to sit a little higher because the injectors require top hats to fit in this fuel rail. Well, the injector with the top hat is longer than your stock injector. So, since it sits higher, you're going to have to put some type of spacer or washers in between your fuel rail and your intake manifold. Because when you tighten it, it tightens down at an angle, and then you'll get fuel spraying out of your top hats, if that makes any sense. You'll find out the hard way, I guess. Then you do need plug-and-play harnesses. Mine's for an EK, which the plugs and the pigtails are a little bit different. But if you plug them in at a certain angle, they still plug in and work. So I'm cool with that. The base map is just a socketed chip. I already have one in my ECU from Built by Notorious, which had, you know, its tune when it was NA. So that should just pull out, and this new one should pop right in, and hopefully it fires up. For anyone that doesn't know, I'm running T55 turbo. It's an eBay setup. External wastegate, law valve. I'm only running probably 6 to 8 PSI max. Stock. Internal motor, D15B VTEC. On the ECU, on that little tune I got, I did give a 2-step and changed a couple little different things like rev limiter, VTEC engagement, you know. But I did it safely too. I didn't just go like way out of like proportion, stuff like that. Kind of went to the stock specs a little bit on some stuff just because, you know, as far as revving a car out, these motors usually lose their power around 7 grand. So anything past that's really kind of putting that motor in danger mode. Even 7,000 is a high RPM. And running boost and stuff like that with the stock internal motor, I don't think I want to be pushing it that hard. They did have a shift light. What would it be? A shift light that you could do with the chip or the tune. It turns your check engine light into a shift light. So I did that as well. Thought that was kind of cool. But yeah, I mean, we're going to do the injectors, and those are going to need top hats, plug and play harnesses, and then the base map, which should just plug right into the ECU. And I might not show you like hands-on me working on it, but I'll show you exactly what you need to do. And the car is in a running state right now. Taking it apart, it's probably gonna have some fuel pressure, so I do have a pan under it. Here's the bad boy right here. Just chilling. Got a pan under the motor because fuel's gonna get on the ground because I did pull it in here right now, so it has pressure. You would get fuel on the ground anyways, but not as much. Since I did start in the pump prime, stuff like that, you're gonna have fuel coming out. But hopefully we get these injectors in. They have a couple different spray patterns, which I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm not too sure how that works. There's like little dials on the front of them. I'm gonna just set them all the same. And hopefully it runs, and if it does, we'll get some new spark plugs for it because I'm running Iridium plugs, NGK Iridiums, which spark a little too high. I need to get some copper V-Power plugs and probably gap them at 0.28. We'll do that too. If it runs, I'll definitely probably be picking up them plugs. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let's do this. All right, so first thing first, always disconnect your battery before working on your car, dealing with anything electrical. First thing I'm gonna do is disconnect the injector clips. So on the fuel injector clips, there's a little metal clip, and these need to get pushed off to the side. Almost like in a scissor action. So say that's the clip right there, right? You go in and you do this and it'll spread them off to the side, and these should pull right off. Now you can use some sort of pliers. I'm just gonna use a flathead screwdriver. I just kind of push them off to the side and they pull off. So I'm gonna disconnect all 4 of these injectors first. All right, so those are off. Really easy to do. Took me a minute. Next, every bolt on this fuel rail and on the wiring for the fuel injectors are 10 millimeters. So on the back of this, you have 2 10 millimeters. You're gonna wanna pull those off first. And then on the fuel rail, all the way on the back, you have 3 running across. So we'll get this wiring off first, and then we'll do the fuel rail next. All right, so if you can see, I got all the electrical moved out of the way. There's a couple more things I did. So I disconnect the fuel pressure regulator vacuum line, just to get a little bit more wiggle room, and I pulled the throttle cable off of its bracket just so I can get this a little further back. Now there are going to be little nuts, 10 millimeter right here, dead center in the middle, and one off to the right here. And after you unbolt those, the whole fuel rail should just pop up. It might be a little tough. You might have to wiggle it around because of course all these fuel injectors have O-rings, and this is where you can get some fuel coming out. So just be careful. You're not going to get a whole bunch. It's not going to be spraying all over the place unless the pump's like priming at the same time. Since the car's off and your battery's disconnected, you should be good. So here's the stock 4 injectors that I pulled out. Here's your stock O-rings that go in the manifold. And of course you got your O-rings up top for the fuel rail. They say with the RDX injectors you don't have to use these because they have an O-ring at the bottom. I'm still going to use them. They say if you want to, you need to trim them, but that's actually bull. You can get them to fit. To me, the tighter of a fitment, the better it is sealed. So they do work. I've already tried it and they didn't leak. I'll show you the top view of the motor with the mount. So here, no injectors in it. That's how it looks. Those little O-rings go in there. And then your top hats that go on the injectors go up here. And then obviously, see where these little black spacers are? This is where you're gonna wanna throw some washers. So first, I'm gonna throw washers down there. The exact size of it, I have like 3 washers, which I wanted to go to the store and buy actually some spacers. But it's probably like 1/4 of an inch. 3 on each one. So 9 total of the washers I have. Now here are my RDX injectors with the plug and play harnesses already. And then here's your dope ass red anodized VMS top hats. So this goes on the fuel rail. These go on top of the injector. And then this goes in the manifold itself. One thing I am going to tell you that you're going to have to do, which I already did it. I don't know if you can see it on the camera. I don't know if it focuses. But right here, there used to be like a little plastic prong, and it stuck out on all 4 of them. Now, I cut mine off with a razor blade. I just was really careful so I didn't slip my fingers. But I cut mine off with a razor blade because if they stay there, these top hats don't fit flush on top of them. They sit at an angle, which are going to get a leak. You want these sitting perfectly flat on top of these. You want them to seal perfectly. So you do have to chop that off. Now, you can use a razor blade if you want to, or a Dremel. A Dremel would be easier, to be honest with you. You just need, you know, maybe a vise to hold your injectors. But I'm going to put the top hats on the injector so you know what they look like. I'm going to throw these spacers in the intake manifold right here where this fill rail all mounts up. So, all right, so we're like halfway there. So we have the injectors out. You can see those washers on each bolt on the intake manifold. That's the amount of space I figured out you need to where it doesn't tighten down at an angle, because you don't want that. You want it flush fit so those O-rings bond and seal real well. And this is how you want your injectors to look. So injectors have your top hats. This little clip down here controls, I believe, the spray pattern. So I just set them all the same. I'm not too sure which is which or what. Probably should do some more research on that, but I'll figure it out later. And then here's your OEM O-rings. Now, if you look at these, they have green O-rings on them. And that's how you can tell these are legit RDX injectors. Now, I did get these off eBay. Spent about 110, 120 bucks. There are knockoffs, and the knockoffs are going to have black O-rings instead of green. So watch out for that. Stock O-ring, you want to pull it all the way past that aftermarket O-ring or the aftermarket injector's O-ring, because this is going to seal first, and then this is just a seal behind it to help. Now, they are going to be a little bit of a tight fit on the intake manifold side, but if you just kind of wiggle it and get it in there, it will fit. So don't worry about that. So pretty much what we're going to do is we're going to pop these in, plug the wires in, and like I said, if you hit these just at the right angle, they do work. I don't know if you can see, this has like two lines up top here that are off the center, or off-centered. Mine have one line right down the middle. Well, if you just hit this right at the right angle, this will still slip in because this plug's a little bit smaller. But the two prongs in there, they still slide right back together. So we're good. So we're going to pop these in. We'll show them in the car and check if we have any leaks. All right, so I got them bolted in. That's how they're going to look. I got the fuel rail bolted in. Got them all plugged in. Before I bolt this back onto the fuel rail, I'm going to start it. Or not start it, but crank it over and see if I get any fuel leaks, just to make sure before I screw everything, you know, back together, because you might have to take it back apart, mess around with it for a little bit to get it not to leak. It might be different on everybody else's, you know, car. I'm not too sure, depending on what fuel rail setup you're running, injector setup you're running. It all depends, but I'm going to check and just make sure we have no leaks. So we are good. Put it, you know, to the on position, let the fuel pump kick on. No leaks. Just cleaned it up real quick. I bolted down the wiring, and then I ran some extra zip ties to all my connectors to kind of tuck them up. And yeah, just hopefully, since I did not hollow out those O-rings, hopefully the spray pattern is correct and it's not just dumping the fuel funny in there. But I think it should be fine. I mean, because it's pretty snug. So yeah, we should be good. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to actually try to crank it real quick, just see what it does. And of course, I don't think it's going to start, but if it does for some reason, wow, it was probably just having its little issue. But yeah, we're going to try to crank it up real quick and see what it does. And then I'm thinking it won't start, but that's when we're going to pull the ECU out. And of course, when you pull the ECU out, you definitely want that battery disconnected. So let's just see what it does real quick. Yeah, see, it definitely doesn't want to start. All right, so it won't start, obviously. My ECU is wide open to get to because I don't have it bolted up right now. Usually you have a little rocker panel right there you have to pull off. I'm just gonna unplug my computer. First I said disconnect the battery, and then I'm gonna open this bad boy up and pull the chip out that's in that, and then we'll be putting mine in. And I'll show you real quick what we got here. Oh, I'm excited. Let's just make sure we got no fuel anywhere in here. No, we're good. Clean, boy. So, all right, so I'm gonna show you what's up with this. Comes with a cool little sticker too, which is kind of exciting because that's going right on the windshield. So it comes in this plastic non-static like wrapping paper inside. So it comes with your little sticker right there. It's going on the front window. This is the company right here, right online. It's 30 bucks. It's really not expensive to do. Me and Willie were looking up, you know, what it takes. This is actually done off of chrome. And really the chips are probably a couple bucks, and then, you know, just tuning these and, you know, going in there, it's real simple. It's real hands-on. And I might do that in the future. Here's your chip right in here inside this little foam non-static static shielding bag. So let me pull the computer out, open it up. I'm gonna slap this sticker on real quick on the front window somewhere. Just super stoked. Hopefully this thing runs and we can take it for a rip. And then, you know, I need to put new fuel in it because this thing has had the same gas in it for probably about a year. Gas is probably shit. Throw some 91 in it at least. And, you know, it just needs new fuel. And then, like I said, got to put the right spark plugs in here for this turbo setup. Probably run a lot better because it is missing a little bit. And these plugs are just nasty. Coat it in oil because I do have bad rings. A lot of people are going to say you shouldn't boost the motor like that. But you know what? I don't give a shit. I'm going to blow it. We're going to do a full Vitara build on it. So let's do it. All right. So this is what the inside of the ECU looks like. Here's your circuit board. It's only 5 Phillips screws to get the cover off. One in the center, one in each corner. And here's your chip that you got to pull out and replace. Now, I'm a little worried because BBN did write D15Z6, unless that was like the tune. I know the D15 VTEC JDM motor has a D16Z6 head. But when I ordered this chip, I told them D15B VTEC, you know, a JDM motor. I don't know if that's going to change anything or what the deal is, but I hope it still works. I guess I'm just going to have to find out. But I got to pull this guy out, be really careful, because if you damage anything, you can really mess up this computer, obviously. And they're not too bad in price, but they're getting harder and harder to find. And yeah, that's what we're going to do. We're going to take this one out, and we're going to put this one in the spot. So let's see what happens. I mean, all we can do is plug and play and see if it runs. All right, I didn't even videotape it, or get any footage, but I pulled the plug out. I just pried it very softly with the flathead, and then it pulled right out, and then I squeezed the new one in there. So here's the old one right here. I don't know if you see the writing on it. D16Z6. Now this could have been a chip from another Honda that had that motor in it, but I'm not sure. You know, they could have reprogrammed it, but that's it. I'm going to put it right back in this foam and put it in this case and save it just in case. Because, I mean, shit, I could use it for another car. That's just a nice little tune right there for an NA motor. So we're going to pop the ECU in, plug it all up, and just see what it does. Moment of truth. See what happens here. Fuel pump kicked on, that's a good sign. It's not starting though. I don't know. Have to mess around with it a little bit and we'll come back. Alright guys, so no dice yet. So what I'm going to do, I already started, I pulled one plug out. It is getting fuel. Plug is wet as can be. But look how bad that plug looks. And I don't know if this is the issue. Like I said, these are iridiums. These aren't the right plug to be in here anyways. So I can get the new ones, and even if it doesn't start, it still needs those to begin with. So I'm not really going backwards. Just, that's all I can think of right now. So what I'm probably going to do, pull the rest of these plugs out, go to AutoZone, pick up, like I said, the NGK copper V-powers, and then gap them to 0.28, pop those in and just see what it does, I guess. I mean, hopefully it fires up. I mean, it's getting wet. I probably should look up the spray pattern on the RDX injectors. I mean, I don't know, unless, since I didn't hollow out those O-rings, maybe those injectors aren't sitting up against the intake manifold flush to where they're spraying cleanly. I don't know, but we're going to figure it out because I really want it to run. So I'll go to AutoZone real quick. All right, so got these plugs, just picked these up from AutoZone. You can tell by the electrode on it, it's nice and flat and perfect. And these ones are like gone. Now, I don't know if it's gonna make it start, but need these anyways. Brand new plugs, shouldn't have a miss. And we'll just have to see what happens. And if something's going on with the injector, something's going on with the injectors. I don't see why it won't start, but we need to get these to 0.28. 0.28 is going to be right before 0.30 on here. So it's going to be like down here on this little gapper. And we'll pop them in there. Pulled all the plugs out, obviously. We'll see what happens. Hopefully, good news. Again, guys, got the plugs in. No dice. Sounds like it wants to crank over. There's something going on. It's either not getting fuel right. There's just something. I mean, it's definitely getting spark. I know that's not the problem. So it's either not getting fuel right or something's going on with the ECU with that chip in it. I'm not too sure, but I'm going to try to figure it out. If not, obviously in the comments, I'll want people to tell me what they think it is or what the possible problem can be, but hopefully I can figure it out by tonight. But I don't know. We'll see. What up, guys? Next day, got the Civic running with the RDX injectors. Willie came over last night. That's why I stopped recording. We kind of just kept working on the Civic and try to figure out what was going on with it. And sure enough, it wasn't getting fuel. 3 of the injectors weren't even getting power. And how we figured that out is we took a test light, we plugged it to the plug-and-play harnesses, and 3 of the injector harnesses weren't even getting power at all. So we disconnected those, tested the OEM side. All those were getting power. So come to find out, on the aftermarket plug-and-play harnesses, when I plugged them in, the pins weren't lining up, just on one. So I had to unplug them, plug them back together, make sure the pins lined up, and then all 4 injectors had power, and it actually fired right up. Now, it does run on both tunes. It runs differently on each one. It actually runs better as far as drive-wise and cruising it around on the NA tune. But when you do go to rip it, it throws a code for a map sensor because it has no clue why it's getting so much air. And it's also running a lot richer on that tune because it has no clue why these bigger injectors and why it's getting so much gas. Like, it doesn't know what to do with them. So it's just running rich, dumping a whole bunch of fuel. The other tune, no check engine light, but it runs a lot shittier. It almost wants to die out. I did rip it with that tune, and it hauled ass. It did. But as soon as you ripped it once real hard, after that it just started gacking out, misfiring. Didn't want to like drive well. So I came back, pulled that chip out, put my NA chip back in, ran fine. Which I'm pretty sure it has to deal with like timing and it actually needing to be tuned on a dyno. Obviously a Basemap, when you order one, they're just doing a few things on the computer, you know, setting it up, but they're not actually here with the car to see what it's doing. You know what I mean? It's probably easier to tune a car by driving it and having a laptop plugged into the ECU some way, or having it on a dyno so you can find out the exact readings on it, which that needs to be done. Don't get me wrong. I probably shouldn't be ripping it without getting a full tune, but the motor burns oil, stuff like that. I'm not too worried about it. If it blows up, it blows up. But that's what's going on. All I care about, it is running. Me and Willie did get it running with the RDX injectors, so that's one step closer to it being done for now. Unless the motor does blow up, then that's a whole nother scenario to deal with. But what we're gonna do is do a couple polls, and we'll show you what's going on and what's up.
All right, let's go rip it. Smoker. was fun as fuck, dude. Definitely need to put some Lucas additive in this thing, just to help it maybe not burn as much oil. I'll thicken it up a little bit. And I need to actually check and see how much oil's in it. It's definitely burning a lot more oil since it's boosting. But yeah, it was some pretty hard pulls in second right there, and then third probably would have been a lot harder, but check engine light popped on, puts it in limp mode, you get no VTEC, so obviously it wasn't as powerful. But I don't even want to know what third gear is like. I mean, it's probably pretty gnarly, so we'll just have to see. That's it.
All right, guys, so that's it for this video. Did those couple pulls with the NA Basemap. I'm not going to even do a couple pulls with the other Basemap. The reason why is I just know the NA Basemap, it runs a lot better at idle and driving. So I'm just going to keep that one in there for now. And I'll probably take it to get it tuned properly with that Basemap in it. Just because it does. It runs better, it drives better with it. So I need to get that done. I need to get it tuned. And then I do need to get the exhaust all hooked up correctly. It does have a cat on it right now. Of course, it's not running with the cat on it because the downpipe is just wide open because it doesn't meet up with the cat. But most likely, I'll probably pull the cat out, put a test pipe in between that, and then the downpipe has to be cut and shortened because it hangs way too low compared to the other exhaust, or compared to the exhaust, to where it doesn't meet. The downpipe is probably 2 or 3 inches lower, so it needs to be cut and shortened so it's up, so it meets directly with the exhaust, which that needs to be done. So that and a tune. But that's it. I hope you liked the video, and I hope it helps you as far as doing like the RDX injector install on a D15B VTEC. But if you can please like, comment, and subscribe to my channel, that would be awesome, guys. Peace out. JTM Racing, baby.